everyone, my name is Emily, and I'm the young adult librarian at the Rock Island Public Library, and today I have two books for you that are both available through our Hoopla app. As I've said before, Hoopla is great because there's just a really great variety of genres, but also formats. So there's graphic novels, there's movies and music, and ebooks and audiobooks, but our other, I guess, ebook and audiobook apps also have those. But Hoopla has its own library. There's lots of stuff that seems to only be on Hoopla, and also sometimes, for reasons I'm going to get into this week, you still might want to check out a book from our library, but Hoopla can introduce you to titles that maybe you wouldn't have been familiar with otherwise, or you might have missed when they first came out. Anywho, this week's first book is one I picked for April because it's National Poetry Month. That is Content Warning, Everything. This is by Akwaeke Emezi. And this author, they were born in Nigeria, and they've written a lot of books, including Pet and Bitter. Those are YA titles. Freshwater was their debut novel, and I think they had, this came out in 2022, so pretty recent poetry collection. And in it, you get a lot of cool poems, kind of explorations of faith and being an adult and recovering from things, and also just trying to live your life, but knowing that the people in your life, things can change, people change, and it's very interesting. As with, anytime I bring a book of poetry, I'm just going to read some poems, because I feel like describing poetry is like describing, I don't know, visual art. Yes, there's a narrative here, but it kind of is better to just show you what it's like. So this poem is called Sanctuary. The safest place in the world is a book, is a shifting land on top of a tree, so high up that a belt can't reach, is a closet opening into snow with a tropical child tumbling through, is a river, a mermaid, a spaceship, a girl with living tentacles for hair, is a red-horned, gold-feathered angel, a dusty crocodile on a second star, is a fractional platform, another family, one with only soft mothers and aunts, is a meadow, is a menu of worlds, an oxygen mask, chest compressions, is a map for someone who has died many times and wants to come back. And I will say, this is a book, if you don't read a lot of poetry, I think I bring this up sometimes, a lot of poetry collections, they're not terribly long usually. This one in particular is like a few dozen pages, and I will say with ebooks, sometimes there'll be a thing at the front of the book explaining the fact that, hey, in a printed book, the author has made certain choices in terms of line breaks, and that can be hard to replicate in an ebook format. So it might look a little different depending on where you're reading this, but yeah, you'll still get the same words, you just might not have the lines in exactly the same places. So, this is another one. This is called I Was Born in a Great Length of River. If I run the water at full bludgeoning force, it takes the bathtub 13 minutes to fill. 20 seconds for the bath bomb to dissolve. 11 if I stir. 4 seconds for Epsom salts. I sink as deeply as I can. Involve my lungs. It takes nothing if I add nothing. When I was 9, I could hold my breath for 75 seconds. I practiced in class. Practiced underwater from one end of the pool to the other, the long way. I held the air deep in my stomach, ballooned it into my cheeks, let it out in small, measured hisses. I rationed it. In Ghana, 20 years later, I tripped on a rock while trying to leave the ocean and got seized by the quick tide. It tossed and sucked me. I couldn't stand, so instead I curled against the floor. As waves battered over my head, I held my breath. And I did not die. Do you hear? I did not die. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter which water. I will never know what it's like to drown. And let's see. There's one more. Okay. Last one is Self-Portrait as an Angel. I will most certainly have wings of roaring flame. 11 of them. 7 unstable faces. Your worst shame is my eyes. Your darkest desire is my sword, bloody and oh so beautiful. And I will finally look like the terrible thing I have always been. Haven't you always wanted power beyond sense? Haven't you asked for it in your most sinful nights, sworn to pay whatever the cost? I'm not here to answer or lend grace. Perhaps you do not understand how this actually works. I think you should be very afraid. So, check this book out. This author, their books have received a lot of critical acclaim, and I think sometimes with poetry, I don't know. I like poetry. Obviously, I bring it here sometimes, but I think I read it more because it's a genre that I enjoy when I make the time for it. Sometimes, even though there's not a lot of words or pages here, I end up having to reread things more or look up words, especially in this case, like there's Igbo slang, which I was not aware of. I didn't know the definitions until I looked them up. But it's a fascinating window into somebody else's life and the things they've gone through, the things they've survived, but also just the way that they see the world. And so that's a really great thing with poetry. And I like the way words are sort of chosen here and like themes are explored. Um, Again, religion, the idea of what it would be like to be a deity, and even like in suffering, in having to go through things in life that aren't chosen by somebody or anybody. There's this idea that, okay, well, there's like on the back talks about the idea that the essence of self that is impossible to drown, kill, or reduce. And this is interesting. Like, if you want to read reviews, there are a few on the back of this book. And the first one just says, a puzzle wrapped in beautiful language, raising questions of identity and loyalty that are as unanswerable as they are important. So, give it a try. Again, National Poetry Month is in April, so I always try to read some poetry this month. And yeah, I'm always, like, I enjoy what I pick out because it's just different than what I usually read. Like, maybe I'm not reading poetry every month of the year, but at least in April, I kind of make some time for it. Give it a try. And next, a thing that I read always, which is manga. This is a book, first in a series called Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. And something I didn't realize, because I've talked about manga on Hoopla before, and usually I don't check it out, because it's like, oh, well, I'm going to be holding up a book when I do the book talk anyway. I'll just read the print book. But I borrowed Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, before I got the physical copy. And because I thought, oh, I'll just read it on Hoopla. But what I found, I did not know, even though it's manga, even though it reads from right to left, because that's how Japanese is written, Hoopla has their audiobooks oriented, sorry, their ebooks oriented, so that they still read from left to right. So even though you are reading this book from right to left, you still have to click and turn pages as though the book is formatted the way it would be, like most English language books are, like left to right. So that was a little, like, for me, kind of threw me off a little bit. And I will say, there's more and more manga on Hoopla. That's great. This is a thing, I haven't checked on Libby either, because the deal with Libby is when you check something out, like, we only have so many checkouts for books. And so that's one where it's like, I look, I make sure a title's there before I book talk it, but that's it. So now I'm kind of thinking, ooh, I need to maybe check that on Libby too, if it does the same thing. I'm hoping it's not like that, because just from a perspective of reading this, it's annoying. And yeah, for me, I would rather just, in this case, get the physical copy of the book. But I have fun browsing on Hoopla, because again, they've added a lot of manga in the last year or so. There's just way more titles than there used to be. And this book, it is, like, it's been on Crunchyroll, it's been on Max, like the anime that was adapted from the series. And I will say the word Eizouken, this is the club that the main characters start at the beginning of this book. This book takes place kind of as the main characters are starting high school. So this time of year, like school in Japan, it begins and ends in April. Like this is the season of, oh, school's starting now. And the thing you should know about these characters, there are three of them, and they become fast friends. Like, two of them already know each other. So you have Asakusa, and I have book talks today, so I'm going to try not to cough towards the mic. But Asakusa is the one with the hat, and then Kanamori, she is very tall, and the two of them, like, they've known each other. They've gone to school together prior to high school. But this third person, she is, Mizusaki. And she is actually the daughter of a fairly well-known actor. In fact, I think both of her parents are actors. And they really kind of want her to go into this business, too. Like, she's already an influencer. But she really likes drawing. Like, she loves drawing manga and anime characters. And the thing about Asakusa is she is somebody who tends to draw settings. Like, she'll draw buildings and things, which is kind of unusual. Like, most people who draw anime and manga, as, like Mizusaki points out in the first chapter, most people draw characters, like she does. But Asakusa is different. Like, she loves drawing these environments. And you can see this, in the book, also. Like, the actual manga creator, Sumito Oowara, clearly likes doing the same. There are a lot of just, like, detailed settings and sort of, like, these landscapes where you have these odd, complicated buildings. But the deal is, these three have started high school. And they're thinking, okay, well, in high school, you can join a club. You can, have, like, an after-school extracurricular activity. And some people do sports. Some people, like, they join the anime club. But in the case of these three, they've decided, no, we don't want to just watch it. Like, we don't want to just watch animation. We want to make it. And so, the struggle there, of course, is doing animation by hand. This is a time-consuming, labor-intensive process. And the three students, like, first of all, you would probably normally want more than 3 people in your group if you're going to, like, try and make animation. And I will say, Asakusa, Mizusaki, they draw. The third member of their group, Kanamori, she's more of the producer. Like, she's the person who's like, okay, well, what do we need to actually be an official club at school? How do we get the things we need, like a desk for drawing with a light table? How do we get funding from the school? Because if we make something good enough and they decide we deserve funding, okay, then we can make better stuff. So the three of them, I mean, they start, like, very first day of meeting, they find that Mizusaki, she's been followed to school by people who work for her parents because they don't want her joining the anime club. So literally, they're just sort of there to be like, hey, you can do other stuff at school, but not this. Like, they're not supportive of her becoming an animator. And so, I mean, the other two, Asakusa and Kanamori, intercede, and as the three of them talk, they kind of look at each other's art, Asakusa and Mizusaki, and this is Mizusaki's kind of style. And you see with Asakusa, like, a big part of this series, and I think part of the reason it's very cool and it's sort of immersive, is you get, like, the characters within the book, you see what they're making, what they're designing, what they're drawing, and what they're creating together. So they decide, oh, I've drawn this, oh, let's add this, how would this vehicle work? What would it actually look like in motion? So that's a big part of, like, you get these sort of imagined sequences of what if we did this? Like, what if we were actually able to, like, pilot this kind of vehicle that we've drawn? And the three of them, I mean, they're thinking, like, wow, we've created this pretty cool world just in the beginning, and sort of, like, sharing concept art with each other. And so this convinces them that, yes, we want to be an official club, and they're able to get an advisor, they're able to get a sort of old and run-down building on their school's campus. Like, okay, nobody else is using this. Sure, you can use this for club activities. Probably, though, you're going to want to fix it up so you're not, like, boiling in the summer, freezing in the winter, or getting rained on because there's holes in the roof. So you get the different things that, I mean, Asakusa in particular, she loves drawing vehicles and settings, and, I mean, as they kind of, like, continue on, just different activities can lead to sort of different drawing inspirations. Like, at one point, they're trying to figure out, because they get this light board and this desk, and there's, like, this old sort of, like, drawings are left behind, like an old flip book almost. And for Asakusa and Mizusaki, they've drawn a lot, but there's still this issue of, well, I mostly draw still art, and it's something different to make art look like it's moving. Like, when you're flipping a book, they want to basically make this so it's more than just having a windmill turn. You also want, I mean, it to look like it's windy, because wind is what's turning the windmill. And so you can see, like, here's the art that they make, and the question becomes, okay, so what's wrong here? What's off? Like, how can we make this better? How do we give this a real sense of movement? And this first volume is just really, like, the group sort of figuring this out, and also getting their club space sort of fixed up. But also, at the same time, I mean, like, Mizusaki is imagining, like, wow, what would it, I'm approaching building repair as if I were doing spaceship repair. And so you get a lot of really cool art, you get these different concepts that, again, the characters are imagining. and then you see them as if they were real, as if they were being experienced. And so, in this group, again, the three of them, they're doing something that's very difficult and usually would take more than just two animators. Like, they're trying to make a short film in time for the student council presentation. Like, the student council, they have to approve club funding. So, this first book, you, like, in the very final chapter, you meet the members of the student council, and you get to see, finally, what the group is able to create in not that much time. And, I mean, it's something where originally they were thinking, okay, what if we could make a 5-minute film? Like, 5 minutes, because you have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes to pitch your club sort of presentation to the student council. And, I mean, Mizusaki thinks, okay, so a 5-minute anime, 5-minute presentation. And, I mean, they'd have to do script and storyboards. But then Kanamori, she basically says, it's got to be flashy and impressive. We sell them the sizzle, not the steak. And Mizusaki's like, but I want to take the time and make a proper animation. And Kanamori says, yeah, see, I worked that out. At 8 drawings per second of a 5-minute animation, the two of you would need 61 days to finish it. That's with no sleep. And, I mean, okay, the two animators are horrified. And obviously, editing will take time. And at this point, it's like, let's make it 3 minutes. Let's make it 3 minutes long. Maybe that's something we can actually do before our deadline. So that's this first volume. It's just trying to meet this deadline and get club funding. And Eizouken, I will say, I think I started on this train of thought before and didn't finish it. What that actually means is, because again, they're sort of approaching this from the position of, we want to make our own group, but there's already an anime club. And, yeah, they want to make stuff. And there's actually a movie contest with a prize of 1,000,000 yen, which is pretty good. And in US dollars, it'd be about $100,000. So obviously, like, this is something maybe these amateur animators aren't going to be able to win, but at the same time, they have this aspiration. They think, like, okay, this could be possible if we really work hard, make something good. And what they decide, they call their club Moving Image Studies, Eizouken. That's where the word comes from. So if you like manga, like me, if you enjoy tales of daily life with, like, a touch of sci-fi, fantastical stuff, with the art and the imagined art, that's what you get. And yeah, I've not watched the series, but let's see, this won the Manga Taisho Award for Best New Series of the Year. And I don't know when it first came out, but there's several volumes so far. Oh yeah, this is, okay, 2020 it looks like? Yeah, this is when it came out in English. So, if you want to read more of this series, you can absolutely check out what is on Hoopla. I don't know how many volumes are on Hoopla, and again, now that I know about how books are formatted there, maybe if you've never read manga before, don't try and do it on Hoopla, because it's going to be kind of confusing reading individual pages right to left, but then still having to turn pages left to right. I think that could get clunky. And again, both of these books are available through Hoopla. Now, you won't be able to check out if we hit our daily borrowing limit. That's the only sort of downside with Hoopla. We hit that limit for the day, just gotta wait till the next day. Or go right after midnight. Go right after midnight or first thing in the morning, you will probably get what you're looking for. You'll be able to check out titles again, because it resets every day at midnight. But yeah, check these out. And thank you for watching. I will see you again next week.